Hello, everybody. My name is Jason, and I want to thank everybody for coming here to RecruitFest in Boston. I want to thank everybody who has joined us online. There's a lot of you. There's a lot of us here. I'm really, really excited about what we have in store today. It's going to be a fantastic day. I'm going to make this really, really short, and then we're going to kick this off. Number one, excuse me, my throat. I want to thank Monster for being our partner. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I want to thank our sponsors. I don't know if you can get this really cool 6-foot, 7-foot, 8-foot screen. I want to thank Broadbean, Career Life, Avature, Talent Culture, Hire Clicks, Bounty Jobs, HR Marketer. Without you guys, this would have never happened. So thank you. We had a ton of people work very, very hard. We've had a lot of sleepless nights to put this together. We're going to make it fantastic. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Eric Weingartner, Vice President of Client Adoption at Monster, who's going to say a couple words, and then we're going to get this party started.
Thanks, Jason. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to RecruitFest. We have in this room in Boston, we are at the Paramount Theatre at Emerson, a historic spot for Boston where a lot of cool things have happened, and this is one of the first that they'll get to count. This is the first event that we've had of this kind here, and it's also the first time that an event like this has happened for our community. RecruitFest today is a transformational moment for us. We are, throughout the course of the day, going to reach thousands of recruiters and talent management practitioners through this conversation. You all that are participating live are being represented by the 70 people here in the room that are going to participate live with us in a conversation with 12 of what I consider preeminent thought leaders in our space. It's a mixed bag, folks, right? It's a real mixed bag. These folks have been handpicked to be able to have conversations with all of us around the hottest topics that are happening in our space. The format is completely innovative. So obviously, everyone that's in this room, it's easy to participate. You raise your hand for the first few sessions, and then you just start blurting things out. But for those of you that are participating virtually, this format is for you. In these economic times, it's not easy for all of us to come together, and quite honestly, time requires that we not do some of this stuff. Getting on a plane, staying at a hotel, hours, days out of our schedules, we're busy. And I hope that how you see how the agenda is formatted and everything should be clear to you on when to check in, when to check out. But what's really important is you're not watching RecruitFest, you're actually participating in it. So if I can, just for the virtual audience here, if you're watching this stream now, you're inside of recruitfest.com/live and you are experiencing the actual user interface. Can I grab that little clicky? First demerit I get is not bringing my clicky. Thank you. So what we're going to do today is walk you through quickly what you can do to participate. In your screen, you have the video box. Right underneath that is a chat box. So those of you who are participating, please interact with each other. Connect with each other, pose questions. It's all being monitored by a fantastic team here in Boston who will be pulling the conversations out and bringing them into the room. As you have questions for the presenters, the schedule's pretty aggressive today. As you have questions, there's a text box in the top right-hand corner that says ask your question. You can enter in your question being moderated. You'll see those questions come in. You can also dial in and get your questions answered that way. So you'll see that the number right here, 1-866-225-8754, is where those of you who are participating from home can dial in, ask your question. Just a warning, that question, or not a warning, but a pretty cool feature of this, the question will be asked from you directly to the panel, and you'll be able to hear the answers to it. The design of this is to get you to participate and interact, not just watch. So that's new for us, that's new for speakers, so bear with us as we run through it. Very casual environment is what we're going for, despite the formality for those of you in the room. Are you guys ready for this in the room? Right? Do you accept the challenge to be the representatives for those on the phone? Do you have this and those participating live? Have you brought your questions? Have you brought your concerns? All right, that is brilliant. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump right in. Some real rigidity on this, just to set expectation for you. The sessions will start on the hour or the half hour and end when they're designed to end so that everyone has the right amount of breaks to check your email, get a few interviews in, pre-screens. You can't do too many interviews in 10 minutes. And then join us back for the session that matters for you, all right? So we're going to kick things off now with introducing to each of you the panelists for the day. These are the folks you're going to spend your day with. These folks are going to be here the entire day. Whether they're on stage or not, they will be active participants in the content. And for me, that's the first time that's ever happened. Many of us, when we speak at conferences, we do our hour, and then we recede, we go out in the hallway and we continue our punditry from there, right? So this is something that will allow you now to get points of view and perspectives on this. So what I'd like to do, if I can get the presenters to start coming up here. Are you good with this? All right. So we're going to meet our folks. Good-looking group, isn't it? Told you it was a mixed bag. Whew. All right. Check them out. Okay. So our first session this morning is really designed to get us set with the genesis of RecruitFest. The spirit of RecruitFest is to take on the topics that matter most in the ways that potentially we haven't heard of before. We all think a lot about these topics. We think deeply sometimes, and then sometimes our actions don't actually mesh with our opinions. But that's where transformation comes in. It takes a little bit of time to have points of view on this stuff. So what we're going to do in this beginning session is introduce each of the folks here, and then they're going to share with you a couple of minutes on sort of their point of view and hopes for you and for them throughout the day. Is that fair? All right. So that's what we're going to do at this point. I'm going to start off, and we're going to bounce around a little bit. But, I'll have each of you jump in. We're going to start with Master. So Master Burnett, quick shout out there. So Master is the managing director at Dr. John Sullivan and Associates. How many of you have heard of Dr. John Sullivan and Associates? Right. This is where we get all of our fact-based research content, correct? Right. And hashtag for Master, for those of you who want to pose a question or just reference the fact that, cite his awesomeness, at Master Burnett, all right? Master.
Excellent.
It is his real name, isn't it?
It is indeed my real name. I can prove it. My driver's license is back there. Thank you for letting me be here. If there's one thing that I really want to focus on today, Susan and I are going to be talking about kind of the future of talent. And one key issue that John and I are noticing around the world is there's a significant uptick in the use of contingent labor and service provider labor inside the organization. And all of the human resource management systems we have were not designed, built, or are being executed to manage a workforce that is very quickly becoming a majority of non-employee workforce. So today, I hope to deal with that. I've got a couple examples that I'll show that really help organizations realize, sure, I may think my contingent workforce is 13% of my workforce, but when you add in service providers and consultants and a wide array of other labor providers, you realize very quickly we're approaching or have already exceeded 50% of the workforce being contingent. So we'll talk about what that means from a recruiting perspective and bringing a more holistic approach to recruiting labor for an organization.
Awesome. So I'm hopeful that several of you already have canned questions for Master, because I'm excited to have, just commentary here, I'm excited to have Master and actually not Dr. John Sullivan. So I said it, right? Love you, John, right? But I've heard you, right? I want to hear what Master has to say, right? So you promise? Opinions? Are we going to get any conflicting information? It's not right now. I know. See, there it is, right? It's always good to have the new perspective on there. And of course, John, I'm joking with you, right? I've completely made a career out of paraphrasing his content. So it's good. All right, the next person that we have up, Susan Burns. So Susan is the founder of Talent Synchronicity. Susan has a very esteemed career in our business. With Macy's, Federated, Wagner Edstrom. I've had the pleasure of learning from the most from Susan over the years in those moments of facilitation of deep content where you really just kind of sit back and turn your head like this, right? And few people, there's people we all identify with. Susan is one of those for me. So Susan, why don't you share a little bit about you and what your goals are for today?
Thanks, Eric, and it's great to be here. Number one, I love being back in Boston in this time of year, so that's always fun as well, but to be up here with all of these people and to have you guys here and everybody virtually as well. Just to build a little bit on what Master said, what was interesting is this is something that I had started looking at earlier in the year, and through the work that I do with Kevin Wheeler in the Future of Talent Institute was also something that we were looking at in terms of what are some of the major shifts that we're seeing around the way that organizations will resource around talent to get work done. What's really interesting about that is my projection, and you can put me on record for this, I think that this will be the most competitive piece of the workforce eventually. That the organization's ability to tap into the sort of temporary employee that comes in and out of the organization to get project work done is going to be the most competitive and critical part of the labor market. And part of that is going to be driven by workforce preferences. And so my heart and mind always comes down to the corporate talent acquisition function. How does that function adapt and deliver more value into the organization? And so I'm excited about the opportunity to present on that with Master today and build on the conversations that we'll have throughout the day and how we sort of come full circle and see what does the future of talent acquisition look like for the organization.
Deep topic. I love that. All right. So warm welcome for Master and for Susan. I mean, you guys are all worthy of the applause. So next up for us is, I affectionately refer to him as my Yoda. I know many of you do as well, so you know where I'm going with that. Gerry Crispin, right back in the back here. Gerry is the founder and principal at Career Crossroads with Mark Heller, we all know. So Mark, I hope you're streaming live. I'm catching on here. Is he? You think he is? No way. Of course not. So Gerry, why don't you share with us a little bit of your thoughts for today, and take a couple extra minutes.
No, I'm not going to take a couple extra minutes. I may give you back a couple. So like everyone else here, I'm really pleased to be here. This is fun. I really enjoy sharing and having a conversation with folks. I really think it is all about the conversation. Obviously, Career Crossroads is the company that I started with Mark some 15 or 16 years ago, and watching the shifts and the evolutions and the continuous change continue to excite me and enthuse me about what's going on. I often describe myself as a student because I think with the kind of change that we're dealing with, if you're not constantly learning, you just cannot keep up with what is going on. I personally like to tilt at windmills. Because I do think that we have a number of stakeholders in the recruitment process, and one of them we tend to forget most often happens to be the candidates themselves. So I pay particular attention to some of those issues because I'm convinced that if we increase the engagement of those people as they come into our workforce, we're starting off at a better plane and potentially can move them further, as opposed to the opposite, which I think we tend to see. So I'm getting to the point, though, where I believe that potentially what the candidate experience is staffing's unicorn. It's sort of a mythological beast that we're all kind of searching for, and what we really tend to find are ugly horses. So that's basically my interest, and we'll see what kind of conversation we can have about that later.
It's nice to know in staffing now we have purple squirrels and unicorns. So that's great. Gerry, thank you. Look forward to your contributions throughout the day, as always. So next up, round of applause for Gerry. Okay. My goal for the day is to have you so engaged if you're live streaming with us that you're sitting at your desk and you actually clap on command. So work with me on that. And make sure that the Twitter stream gets that piece of feedback if you're doing it.